hiring the right people, giving them that level of training, and then giving them feedback is what builds confidence.
Over money and financial gain, most people work in a business to feel part of it.
And that's what engages. It's people feeling valued.
Someone better trained can bring in more money to the business.
But they'd rather chuck money at increasing salaries.
Welcome to this edition of Beauty Business Matters. I'm Susan Routledge, your host, and I have a very, very special guest today. We are here with Marianne Page, and I'm going to tell you in a minute a little story about how Marianne and I re-met. And also I'm going to let Marianne introduce what she does herself, but we've had Marianne out with us in Malta as one of our fabulous speakers, talking about systems and just everything that Marianne teaches is awesome. And we're going to talk about our books and everything. But Marianne, first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Absolutely amazing to be here.
Now, before we go any further, I've got to just tell this story because it was, we were both, weren't we? We were in London at an event. And obviously my accent's quite distinctive. And Marianne said to me, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from, the northeast. And Marianne's like, so where? And I said, I live in between Durham and Newcastle. And I said, my business is up there as well. And she went, where's your business? And I was thinking, really? So I was like, it's in Concert. And so Marianne's like, where in Concert? So I'm like, well, it's on and mentioned the road. And then Marianne's like, what number? And I thought, this is getting ridiculous now. And how it worked out is I actually bought my business premises from Marianne's dad. So Marianne,
57 Meadowsea Road,
57 Meadowsea Road, yeah. So obviously we grew up together, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then obviously you ended up down in London.
Yeah.
But you just I didn't expect to meet someone who had such close ties to us. I thought, this is just going to be a general conversation. And then ever since then, we've just, we've collaborated on a few different things, and you've spoke at some of my events. But I mean, I've just always been in absolute awe of everything that you've done. Because I don't know anyone who does what you do in teaching systems and different things to the extent that you do and simplifying it so well. So, Marianne, over to you. How tell me a little bit about you, your background, everything.
Okay, well, I've got to add a little bit to that story because when I was out in Malta, don't forget, I got talking to your lovely husband, Stephen.
Yeah.
And it turned out we were in the same class at school.
Yes.
At infant and junior school. And then we got talking about all the people that we used to know. And it was amazing. Absolutely. I absolutely loved it. Right. Okay. So just a little bit of background. So when I left university, I did a drinking man's degree, really.
I love that.
Crikey. It was combined honours. I mean, anyway. So I left university and I didn't really know what to do. And Mum had in mind sort of John Lewis or Marks and Spencer's because, that's what you did. So when I was interviewed by McDonald's, obviously they didn't have any up north. That's how long ago it is. They didn't have any McDonald's up north. They were all down sort of London in the south. And I got the job and they shipped me down to Milton Keynes. And Mum just kept referring to the fact that I'd joined a glorified fish and chip shop. I mean, having said that, we had been down in London and gone for a Big Mac together when we were down there. But no, this was now a glorified fish and chip shop. Anyway, I had an amazing 27 years with McDonald's. Honestly, the thing with McDonald's that I know, some people go, oh God, McDonald's. The thing about them is that they take somebody and they give them a way of working that makes it easy to do the work. So they promoted me to a restaurant manager within 12 months. And I was running £1 million restaurant with a team of 50 and two 18-year-old floor managers supporting me. So when I went away, there were two 18-year-olds running the team of 50. And honestly, I was the most naive 21-year-old you were ever likely to meet. I had a really sheltered upbringing. I was so naive. But the systems that they gave you and the training and support and the development that they gave you meant that it worked. And they pushed me out of the restaurant to be a training manager. They pushed me from being a training manager into setting up and heading up a customer services department and so on. And it was like, when I think about it now, what they are brilliant at is that they train people in the skills to do their job, and they develop them as individuals. They push them, they challenge them. And quite often people go training and development like it's one word. And it's two very different things for me. Training in the skills, developing the person, pushing and challenging them.
This episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Forest Salon Software. I'm especially delighted about this partnership because I've known CEO of Forest, Ronan Percival, for over 12 years. And he was also the first guest on this podcast. The Forest story began with a genuine love for the salon industry, and their passion for helping businesses thrive is what makes them such a great synergy and such a great fit for this show. They bring so much energy and enthusiasm to helping and supporting salons. And as part of this partnership, they are offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. It's a huge 50% off Forest Salon Software for the first 6 months. It's an incredible saving, especially in today's climate, and a great way for your business to stay focused and strong for 2025 and beyond. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, simply check out the sign-up link in the show notes, and be sure to mention the podcast when you speak to their fantastic team. And thanks to Forest Software, and now back to our incredible episode. So with that though, for you at 21, for them to do that, did they see something shining in you, or would that have been any 21-year-old who could develop to that?
Obviously, I would love to say it's because they saw the amazing potential I had and the shining light in my eyes. But actually, they could take virtually anybody. If I tell you that 90% of McDonald's restaurant managers started out shoveling chips and flipping burgers. Actually, they don't flip them anymore. They've got these clamshell grills. Whole other story. But 90%. That's massive.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about being a training manager. I didn't know anything about running a customer service department. I didn't know anything about. I mean, I ended up with facilities management, fleet management, print management, and something else that I can't remember off the top of my head, in like a group of departments that I was running. I didn't know anything about any of those, but they pushed you to develop yourself, to get you to learn how to do all of these things. And that's what when I came out of McDonald's, like, I thought actually I would have a business teaching customer service. It seemed, my sort of most successful award-winning within the business period was head of customer services. And I thought, yeah, that's what I'll do. And then I went and joined a program that you know well, Key Person of Influence. And the guys there were all saying, Marianne, you've worked with McDonald's for 27 years. Why aren't you talking about process and systems? That's what's made McDonald's great. And before we started, you were laughing about the fact that I've got a book called Process to Profit, because I do actually hate the word process.
No, that's what I love, the fact that you put it into the title of a book.
I really do, because, and in fact, I was thinking as you started introducing me and you said the word systems, I was thinking, well, that's lost half the audience, because generally people just feel, oh God, do we really have to talk about process and systems? And at McDonald's, nobody ever, when people were saying to me, this is what you should do, I think, well, why? Nobody ever talked about process and systems at McDonald's. It was just the way things got done. You just were taught the McDonald's way to do things, and you did it that way.
But when you said you were taught, is there actually physically someone teaching?
Physically someone teaching.
Ah, right.
And this is, I'm heavily into my sticky systems.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that makes your systems stick, is that you hire people like me who are obviously brilliant. No, you hire people who've got a good attitude, a good work ethic, who get what the business is all about, and then you train them. You invest in training them.
Yeah.
So, I was trained in everything I learned. I was trained one-to-one, and then I was given how-to guides. Back in the day, they called them observation checklists, which is another silly, language name that you think, really, it's a how-to guide. But anyway, they invest that time one-to-one to train you, to make sure that you're confident. They give you feedback. They let you have a go. They give you feedback. They leave you on your own to have a go. They come back. They give you more feedback. And those, hiring the right people, giving them that level of training, and then giving them feedback is what builds confidence. Because it's all well and good being capable, but you've got to also have the confidence. You can't. I've seen so many people being trained, like, right, you do this, this, and this. Okay, got it. Right, I'm off to do something.
Tick that one off.
Yeah, I'm off to do something way more important than sit here and make sure you're confident in doing this task. If I've got 2 seconds for a quick story, I was in Antigua, gorgeous place, and I was talking to this lovely t-shirt seller, and she said, we're just chewing the breeze, really. Isn't this gorgeous? Watching the boats bobbing out in the bay. And I said, oh, Gloria, I'd love to learn to sail. Oh my God, her eyes lit up. Winston, the lady want to sail. Called over Winston out from under his palm tree. We walked off to this tiny little boat, honestly, the size of this table. We both got in. I'm scared of sharks, just, saying. And we got out. He took me out into the bay, having a good time. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, oh God, where are we going? We were heading right out to the reef. Luckily, he stopped before the reef, and he said, okay, so sails up like this, you use your tiller, got it? And then he dived out of the boat and swam back to shore.
No.
Honest to God. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Right, okay, what did you say? Right, I've got to control the sail. I've got to do the tiller, right? And then I saw we were going towards the reef. I overcorrected. The sail came around, knocked me out the boat. So I'm swimming back. I'm not a strong swimmer, really not. Swimming back, hauled myself onto the boat, and I eventually sort of managed to get the sail pointed in the right direction. And I head into the jetty. I could see these 2 people lying prone. It was probably you and Stephen, actually, lying prone on the jetty, sunbathing. And I thought, I don't know how to stop. And we banged into the jetty, I banged into the jetty. The sail swung round over the top of their heads. Thank God they didn't look up until after it had done that. And I was out. And it just, every time I think of that, I just think of that. That's the sort of training that most people get.
Yes.
They get that. Yeah. You got it? Okay, right.
Get on with it now.
I'm off. I'm metaphorically swimming back to shore and leaving you to sink or swim.
Literally.
And I see that all the time, because business owners don't want to invest in training. They don't.
But that's why, as well, that is why I love having you at my events speaking, because when I speak to anyone in my industry, the first thing that an employer thinks about is that if they pay someone more, then they'll be better. And they'll do a better job. It's not that at all.
No.
And the thing is that, and when someone leaves, quite often they'll be like, oh, I didn't pay them enough. That's not it.
No.
It's the fact that, like, they were just thrown in at the deep end, didn't feel part of it, that they were just like, it's either, and chastised quite often for not doing what the owner can do, kind of thing. But without the actual bones, that the need to do it kind of
absolutely.
thing. It's like, and as well, in a past interview, quite recent one, we were just talking about the fact that, you leave college or you leave training and you've just got those bare bones.
Oh, yeah.
You've then got to like learn a system of like how a particular business works, the way that they do things. And quite often it's not taught.
No.
And
well, and in, your sort of business in McDonald's, some of the people that are coming in have actually never worked before. So you've got to teach them how to behave in a work environment.
Yeah.
If you don't give them feedback, you're setting them up for failure. Sometimes people never get any feedback, and they may be sacked. They may be pushed out during probation, never knowing what they did wrong, or that how they were behaving was inappropriate for the workplace. And I find that I just find it increasingly disappointing. It's the older I get. But if you want to engage people, give them all the training you can to be confident. But then really challenge them and push them and get them to. I talk a lot about having formal performance reviews, like sit down once a quarter with every team member, because the bad uns always get their time. They always get the one-to-ones. They always get, in my day, taken to the stock room for a good telling off. But everybody needs their time in the sun. Everybody needs to be sat down and one-to-one with their manager, the business owner, who however big the team is, and told how well they're doing, if they're doing really well, but how they could improve, how they could, develop and, fulfill their potential. Or if they're not doing well, told how they could improve, how they need to improve, what they have to do to improve. Yeah. And I wasn't always taught, but I always believed that every performance review should inspire and motivate improved performance. Whether you're dealing with a real bad one or you're dealing with somebody who's really flying. Yeah. And that's what engages. It's people feeling valued, people feeling that they're going to grow and develop. And you can have, a forklift truck driver who drives pallets from point A to point B all day, but they can be really engaged if you show them how important that role is to the business. Yeah. And I think that's where people just miss the point.
But going back to performance reviews and things, it's something that needs to be rigid in a diary. And I'm sure it's not just my industry, but what tends to happen is that it'll be that I go, well, Mrs. Jones wants that appointment kind of thing. Yeah. So it just gets either moved or taken out kind of. And it's like when things aren't going right, we need to have some chats kind of thing. Instead of it being, like
just a regular, like
so
a
it gets
part
to
of
the point
culture.
where everyone dreads having these chats. Yeah. Whereas if they are just structured into a business, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, no, it does. We use a really simple scorecard. It's got 3 sections. One that looks at how you actually perform in your role. Are you following our way of doing things and so on. One's about team contribution. Are you a positive influence? Do you support fellow team members? And then the final bit is, are you living our values? Do you behave in line with our values day to day? Just 3 simple sections, but it's a great discussion starter. And it's also a formal record of the fact that you sat down, because what I also find is that, one of my favorite questions is, how many of your team would you rehire tomorrow given half the chance? Love asking that question, because I rarely get, my team are perfect. There's nearly always at least one person that's never been right, and all of that. But to remove that person from the business, they have to go to HR, or their HR consultant, and then they have to start from ground zero, building a case to remove them from the business, and it takes forever. And meanwhile, you're doing the individual a disservice, because they'd probably be happy somewhere else if they're really causing problems in your business. They'd probably be, uplifted in a different business, a different industry, whatever. And also you are dragging your own team down because they're waiting for you to sort them out or remove them or whatever. And I just find that again, it's just that investment of time. If a business owner won't invest time to train, they're never going to invest time to sit down with everybody one-to-one and give them even half an hour of their time. And what you just said is so right. Those calendar appointments should be set in stone, because if you are willing to move them, it says to that person, actually,
you're not that
really
important.
Yeah. And it's just, it's just absolutely madness.
Mm-hmm. So how do you work with a business, and do you work with all different sizes of business?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to just work with people who've got a team, because really everything I do is sort of team centric. But just for any single business owner, any solo business owner, don't have to be single. Any solo business owner, you still actually work with people. You still
got the team
have
around
to
you.
hire, your supporting cast, if you like, whether you're on your own or not. But generally, it's people with a small team looking to grow, or a big team that's just got to be big and it's chaotic, and the managers aren't operating well. Actually, the managers are the sort of the forgotten people in this whole scenario, because they are usually dragged out of a role that they loved and were really good at. Here, manage people, and they really struggle because they rarely get the feedback and support that they need. Sometimes the business owner isn't very good at managing people, so they can't really train their managers to. In fact, they just want to put somebody between them and the team. So the managers get forgotten. And they're the people that I always look to, because the business owner usually wants to talk to me because they want to free themselves from the day to day. That's the phrase I hear more than any. I'm just bogged down in the day to day. I can't do what I want to do. I can't grow the business. There's no opportunity for us to scale because we haven't got anything lined up, sort of thing. The foundations in place. Sorry, and so they either want me to work with their managers, or they want me to come in and create their processes for them.
Right.
And that is something I will never do, because I hate the word. No. Actually, can I just cover the thing about the word process?
Yeah.
The thing for me with the language.
Get it out the way, Marianne.
Let me just. This is like a therapy. I'm loving this therapy session. Thank you, Susan. But the thing about the whole language of systems is that it actually stops people putting them in place. That's what I 100% believe. The word process. I mean, as I say, one of the books is Process to Profit. And I used to talk about, I work processes and systems. And I swear to you, I would see the shutters come down on people's faces, and they're looking over my shoulder for somebody more interesting to talk to, honestly. And I see that in teams. If a business owner says, come on, we need to document our processes. We need to follow processes. It's like, oh God, another process. Or a standard operating procedure, or let's look at Lean Six Sigma or ISO 9001. All of these things, I know, caveat, I know ISO 9001 and Lean Six Sigma work and have worked brilliantly for big organizations. Crikey, I'm not knocking them. And I also know that certain small to medium-sized businesses have to have ISO 9001 in order to tender for contracts. So I'm not dissing them. And I'm actually not dissing process, because I get what it does, but it's the language. So I prefer to talk about developing our way of doing things.
Yeah, I love that.
Our way, not my way, not your way, but our way of doing things. And for me, that comes from it was just, you just followed the McDonald's way.
Yeah.
There's only one way to cook French fries in a McDonald's. It's the McDonald's way of doing it. That's what you learn. That's what you're given feedback on, etc. If every business owner worked with their team, and that is the crucial part, worked with their team in different areas of the business, key areas, whether it's, your receptionist, reception team, your service delivery team, your whatever it might be. You work with them, you get them to document their routines, and you go, right, what are we going to have as our way of doing things? What's the most simple, logical, repeatable way to do all of these routine tasks? Brilliant. Let's agree it. Oh, well, I think we should do it. I do it that way. Right. What's the most simple way, the most logical way, and the way that we can all agree on? They all agree on it. Right. Let's capture it. Not in a written document. Oh, my Lord, have you ever typed up all of the processes in your business? It takes forever, and people don't want to do it.
Nobody ever reads
Nobody ever reads them. Who's going to read a document? Oh, right. I'm just about to, I don't know, do a facial. Right. Let me get out my document. Nobody's going to do that. How-to videos are the way forward, and they're so simple. And they, you can be training somebody in a task and actually recording it as you're doing it for online tasks. For offline tasks, it's still the same. It just involves probably a third person to actually film what's happening.
The way it works absolutely perfectly in our industry, when you're saying about a facial, is because quite often, especially, I was going to say when someone's new, but it can be someone's come from another business.
Yes.
And it can be the same facial process, but it's been either adapted a different way or done a different way. The good thing about video in it is that if there's a perfect way that's done, say for example the timings are out, that person watching can follow along to the point where theirs goes in a different direction and think, that's where it's wrong, kind of thing, and follow it. So it's time scaled as well. That's what I love about it.
Absolutely. The other thing is as well, you're saying about people coming from other businesses, the same businesses, but just, not yours. Somebody comes in and it's like, oh, we didn't do it like that. Oh, that's great. And if you've got any great ideas, let's talk through them. But this is the finishing touch way of doing a facial. And this is, until we have the opportunity to look at how we could make it more special, or, if you come in with a brilliant idea, of course we're going to listen to you, but this is the finishing touch way. So let's get you trained in that way first. And it gets past all of that. Oh, we didn't do it like that. It just gets you past it. This is our way of doing things. It's a really easy sell, I think. Yeah. But the biggest thing for me with it is one of the reasons business owners don't like introducing systems into their business or systemizing their whole business is that they think they are the ones who are going to have to do it. I have worked with no end of business owners who have spent sometimes months documenting their processes and nobody's following them. Yeah. Or they've hired in somebody specially to document their processes and nobody's following them. Or they've used AI. That's the new one. But I can use AI to create my processes. No, because if you don't involve your team, then it's not our way. Yeah. It's your way that you are pressing down on your team. Just do it this way. Well, actually, have you thought about the fact that doesn't work, boss? Yeah. Well, yeah, but just do it that way. Yeah, but in day to day, it takes into account the people at the coalface and what they have learned from doing things.
Yeah. But I mean, over money and financial gain, most people work in a business to feel part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is that if someone's just like, well, right, this is how we do it, get on with it, kind of thing. Yeah. There's no input. No. It's when someone feels like, well, I contributed a little bit to that, or I was the one who helped do the video, or I did. Yeah. It just makes that whole difference. Yeah. But as I say, it's the same with obviously I work with a lot of businesses who want to put incentives and things in place. Yes. Now, if you just rack up with a one like, all right, this is what we do, and you've got to sell 5 products and you get this and you do this, nobody does it. No. But like if it's like everyone thinking, oh yes, this would be great if we can make something and make it a little bit fun. And
the funny thing is incentives, and you mentioned earlier about people thinking that everybody just wants to be paid more. And of course, financial strains exist, and people do want to be paid what they're worth at the very least. But people are way more engaged if they are trained, if they are pushed, if they feel part of it. If you talk about we and us rather than me and them.
Yeah. And as well, though, someone better trained can bring in more money to the business.
Of course.
So it's like a win-win all the way.
And also,
because someone will like say, "Oh, I haven't got the time to do it."
Yeah.
Like, of course you have.
Yes. Yeah. They'd rather chuck money at increasing salaries than invest money in training and developing people, which would possibly save them money in just throwing money at salaries.
But
mad.
like every business, every person, the more confident you are, the more you can talk about something, the more that it's not a sales process. It's not it's then just like a this is what I do.
Yes, we're not selling. We're having a conversation to serve somebody. It's all of that. It's the business owners that want to free themselves from the day to day, which is, as I say, what most people talk to me about. They have to get that their people need to understand their role and be able to do it and have confidence doing it well. Why can't they show initiative sorts? Oh God, people are so stupid these days. They don't have anywhere. It's like, do you remember when you were first starting out? Did you have a good trainer? No, I didn't have a good trainer. I just picked it up along the way. And how did that make you feel? And it's like, just because you had a shit time with your managers didn't mean that everybody else should, flipping heck. No, it's mad.
One of the things I see a lot is where a business owner will use themselves as the example of how to do things in front of a member of the team, and which just makes them shrink. It's like, no, I can do this, and I can sell. I don't know why they can't.
I can do it in 5 minutes. Why is it taking you 15? Maybe because you've been doing it for the last 20 years and you've not given me the training that's given me the confidence to do it even well.
But that is something else that I see hugely as well. And I'm sure, again, it's not just our industry. And this is something I got from Nick James. He very much talks about like £10 tasks and £100 tasks.
Yeah.
And, the amount of business owners who are wrapped up in doing £10 tasks.
Yeah.
In that, obviously, £10, it's just a fictitious thing. But, the tasks that really aren't moving the needle in the business or anything like that.
No.
And a lot of that is just being simply because they've thought, oh, it's easier to do it myself.
Of course.
It's like, rather than I'll just do it. Yeah. And then it just gets to the point where all the team just think, oh, see, Marianne likes doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Crack on. That's one less task for us. It is so many business owners and actually managers as well, because they definitely fall into that trap and they end up working long hours, much longer hours than they need to, because they are doing their team's job. There's a Ken Blanchard and monkey management. Have you ever come across it? Really, really interesting.
So that's a book, is it?
Yeah. Well, Ken Blanchard of 1 Minute Manager fame.
Oh,
and
yes.
He did 1 Minute Manager meets the monkey. And what happens is that a team member will come to their manager or the business owner and say, "Oh, we've got a problem, Susan. We've got a problem." All right. Yeah. What's the problem? Oh, this, and this. All right. Okay. Leave it with me. And then they go off, having passed their monkey onto your back. And then the next team member comes in. "Susan, I really need your help with this. Right, just leave it. I haven't got time right now. Just leave it with me." There's another monkey jumps on you. And the business owner ends up with all these monkeys. And then the team start following up on them. "Susan, have you sorted that out yet?" And it's just a complete reversal of roles. Oh my Lord, it's mad, but it's funny.
So sticky systems.
Yeah.
Because you spoke a lot about this when we were over in Malta, and it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So can you explain a little bit about sticky systems?
Okay, well,
because I've never heard anyone talk about this. Is sticky systems your thing?
I think so. Yes, I hope so. Yes. No, it's definitely my thing. No, I realised that there are 4 sets of systems in every business. So there are the sexy systems, and these are the systems that most business owners spend most of their time, energy, money, involved in. Marketing, branding, advertising, PR. Everybody loves their sexy systems. They want to be, that's what they want to be focused on. Then there are the security systems. So your financial management, your cash flow, your legal, your contracts, all of that sort of thing. And what business owners will do with those is abdicate responsibility for them to a really good financial advisor, the likes of Joe Simpson and so on. People who just take them on board. And yes, we'll have a meeting once a month, or I'll talk you through your finances. And as long as they either don't want to invest or there isn't a real issue, they're fine with their once a month meeting and maybe once a year looking at the annual P&L. Then there are the service systems. And if a business owner says, I'm going to systemize my business, these are the systems that they focus on. And rightly, because they're the nuts and bolts of the business. They're what delivers your product or service to your customers. So, that whole customer journey thing, they want to systemize and streamline that journey. And that's amazing. That's absolutely what they should do. But none of those of the systems will stick unless they have the sticky systems, which are the 4th lot. And the sticky systems are hiring the right people and not settling for anybody else. And so many businesses do settle. Yeah. They hire somebody, they put them through probation. Sometimes they don't even put them through probation. And they realize that they're not right. But, but they're so nice, we'll give them a chance. Or, no, but they've only been here 3 months. Let's give them another 3 and another 3 and another 3. And they've never been right and they're never going to work. But they don't want the pain of going back and having to hire again. So they just keep them, doing them a disservice and also the business and the rest of the team. So hiring the right people and then training them in our way of doing things, like really understanding what you want somebody to be able to know how to do in their first 30 days, like developing a training map almost. Mm-hmm. So that, you're going to learn how to do this, how to do this, how to do this. And I'm a big fan of apps. The particular one that I love is Trainual.
I've never heard of that one.
It effectively is a container for your training system, and it also holds your employee handbook. It's like digital ops and training manual, if you like, and handbook. But it builds training role by role. So I can have all of the how-tos for my receptionist, for example, built into Trainual. I give my new receptionist a login when they join. I still train them one-to-one. It doesn't get away from that. But they can see all of the things that I'm going to be holding them to account for learning within their Trainual. They can get ahead of the game. They can watch videos and go, oh, Susan, I learned this. I just had a few questions, and it actually can save time for the person training if they take ownership for it, but it allows them to take ownership for it. So that training in our way and having it captured as a system in an accessible format, and that for me is the thing with videos over documents. Yes, you can back up, you can actually use AI to transcribe a video so that if somebody really wants a document, it's there. But then, so hiring the right people, giving them training in our way, and then giving them feedback. And honestly, even with hiring well and training well, if you don't have a good feedback system, you've almost wasted your time in all of the rest of it, because it's the feedback system that helps people to stay on track or to grow or to follow the system or,
One of the biggest things I see is where an employee doesn't know whether they're having a good day for an employer. They haven't got a clue whether or not that whether they've done well or they haven't,
Yeah.
because there just isn't that feedback.
And when you go in, with a fresh eyes, you go and you talk to the team and you say, how do you know if you're doing well? Well, nobody shouted at me today. I've heard that so many times. Nobody shouted at me today, so I must be doing I must be doing okay. And it goes back to that. We only give feedback to the people who are not performing or who are causing trouble. And there's actually my sister Jo introduced me to the concept of the choir, the crypt, and the congregation. And she puts it that, like, the crypt get loads of attention because they are the people who really should be leaving the business. They're your underperformers. So you give them loads of attention. They're the ones who you take to the stockroom. Your choir get loads of attention because they are your high flyers and you want to develop them, and you love being around them because of their energy and enthusiasm and their desire to grow. And then there are the congregation that exist in most businesses, the people who turn up every day, do a really good job, follow our way of doing things, go home, never cause you any trouble. They're never going to be high flyers. They're never going to cause you any trouble, but they are just a really solid group of people that every business needs, that just keeps things ticking along. And the challenge for a business that's scaling is what happens to that congregation when you want to scale, because sometimes they haven't got the ability to come with you or the desire. And it's funny because I'm working with a business at the minute, real big plans to scale to franchise. I'm loving working with them. But I had to have a sit down with a young woman. She got a good job in the business, good salary. So this is where it comes in. It's not all about salary. And I was saying to her, look, on this side of the table is where the business was, lovely family-run business, really cozy, comfortable. Everybody came to work, had a good laugh, and got the job done. But I said, on this side of the table is where the business is now and where it's going, and that is, it's going to be faster paced. There's going to be maybe a little bit more pressure. There's also going to be loads of fun, and there's going to be loads of opportunity, and the business is going to fly. And in terms of sort of rewards, the rewards are absolutely laid out there, but it's a choice, and you need to make that choice. And no judgment if you choose to be on this side of the table. Absolutely no judgment. This is not for everyone. And she resigned this week.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, she resigned. She decided she wanted to be on that's fine. I mean, I was really disappointed because, oh my Lord, the potential in that young woman was there. 100% was there, and she was very good at her job, very very dedicated. Just didn't want to be in that sort of a business. Didn't want the pressure or the opportunity, or just wanted to work and go home and play with her dog and.
And I think that's why you can't generalize with people, because they've all got like different things going on in their lives.
Yeah.
And they've got like different aspirations.
Absolutely.
And some people do just want to come to work, do a job well, and that's it. And it can be for someone who's quite entrepreneurial, because I think I'd drive the team crazy, because I'm always away doing different business things and spending lots of time with like entrepreneurs, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, oh, I've just learned this, we can do this and we can do that, and they're just like, oh God,
not
she goes again,
not again, not again. But it is I am a big believer that if people really want to be with you, great. That sticky systems lead to sticky people. And that's sort of, I think back to the McDonald's, 90% of McDonald's managers started out as crew, as team members, shoveling chips. Sticky systems developed them into sticky people. And, I don't know what the average staying power is now, probably about 15, 20 years, which in this day and age is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, in my day, it was close to 30. But it's sticky systems, sticky people, sticky scale, sticky success. That it's like it really works in that way. But just going back to, you know, the young woman who sadly resigned this week, it's that not being what's the word? Not being tied to, not feeling like you have failed if somebody wants to leave you.
Yeah.
Not feeling like, oh my God, no, I've got to hold on to them. You know, let's throw another 10 grand at her.
Yeah.
Actually, no, let's not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, you know, her going freeze that spot for somebody who really wants to be here, who's really going to be enthusiastic about the new journey, who's going to come in at that point where they don't know about the old journey. They only see what's coming, and they're going to be more bought into it. And I think as business owners, we just get too attached to the thought of people should want to stay with us. And you just said about people have got different. Yeah, people have got different. You know, somebody might just want to work with you to make enough money to go and join a band. You know, everybody's got their own.
Yeah. And the thing is, I always like to say, you know, I always want someone to follow their dreams, because I always have.
Yeah.
But quite often, you know, we've had girls leave and go and travel, and then they've come back and with a whole new skill set, which has been awesome. But and as well, I think when you've got like someone who's a key person who's been in the business quite a long time, you've got sort of that attachment as well. But then for quite often, always, when that person moves on, someone else steps up. And it's amazing, because it's a little bit like when we were talking about the employer using themselves as an example of how great they can do things. When you've got an employee who's like that, you've also got someone thinking, oh, I could never be like that, until that person's not there. And then they're like, oh, yes, I can.
No, so true. And the other thing is as well, when, you know, at McDonald's, you were always taught to replace yourself. So, you know, make yourself redundant in that role. Bring somebody up who can do your role as well as you can, or better, in order for you to take on more responsibility, move into a different role, whatever that might be. I did that 4 times, and unfortunately, the last time I actually really made myself properly redundant. Best thing that ever happened to me, but that's a whole other story. But if you've developed our way and you've captured it in training or whatever as your training system, it doesn't matter who leaves, because
they can step into
the role because you've captured it. And that was the thing with McDonald's. They always said somebody can leave and the sand will have covered their tracks before they've left the car park. And it's so true. And it sounds brutal and it sounds like, you know, uncaring, but it's brilliant for a business that wants to progress and scale and, you know, actually just be stable.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes we a lot of businesses found this in COVID, that key people were going off for sometimes months with COVID. They were on, however, they were missing from the business. And people going, oh my God, Jane was the only one who knew how to do that. What are we going to do? All right, we're going to have to, and the work that was involved in covering for Jane was horrendous.
Yeah.
Whereas if everybody's role is captured.
For us though as well, you know, we as an industry, the beauty industry, hair industry, aesthetic industry, a lot of it is like pretty much dominated by females who will be off on maternity leave.
Absolutely,
it's just forgiven, like it's you know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had 2 key people off, was it last year, where we had, you know, Tracy on adoption leave and then Charlotte on maternity leave. So we had 2 key people out together. But like, again, it's just then everyone else can step up into those roles kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's...
And actually also the same when you remove a troublemaker. You know, sometimes the troublemakers can have a really bad influence on other members of the team. They go and suddenly these members of the team become really good team members. And they rise and take on. So it's, you know, it's not just people being on maternity or leaving, or it can actually be if you remove somebody, you set people free.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love sticky systems. Absolutely lovely.
So do I.
Oh, honestly, Marianne, I think we could talk for hours. We haven't even talked about the book. So you've got, I mean, that is a great way to learn more about what you do. Would you say the latest book's the one where it's that more sticky systems and kind of thing, or?
Well, I'm actually writing the sticky systems book. So
Oh.
I've said it in public now. I've said it in this recording.
Not now.
So I better get the damn thing written. Yeah, I've got the structure there. I just need to write it. But simple logic. If you want to understand how to systemize your business really simply, and this is all I am. You said right at the beginning that it, for me, it is about simple. I am a very simple soul. I believe in language that just ordinary people would use every single day, rather than all of this
jargon.
I'm glad you said jargon. I was just about to say the BS words. You saved me. But it is just getting away from that whole language of it and just talking as people would talk. And if you're looking for systems, then Simple, Logical, Repeatable is the book to read, because I do lay it out. Actually, if I say so myself, I actually lay it out in something called the McFreedom system. And
I love that.
McDonald's did actually come after me and ask me not to use the Mc going forward, but that it could stay in the book. So the McFreedom system lives on in the book, but I can't talk about it except here. So if you're after systems, 100% Simple, Logical, Repeatable is the book to go for. If you're after management development, Mission to Manage or its baby brother, Mastering People Management, are the two. For me, if you're a manager who's struggling, you're lacking in confidence, you need strategies to work with. You need to understand how to help yourself to help others, and how to stay sane as well, and not be working 15 hours a day thinking, oh my God, I hate people management. I honestly, one of the biggest joys of my life was managing people. I absolutely love it, because you just see, if you can see even a nugget of potential in somebody and you can bring it out, it's just the best feeling in the world. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
So, Marianne, if someone wants to get in touch with you, which I would highly recommend, because like I say, I don't think there is anyone else that I've ever come across in our industry or in entrepreneurship, actually, that talks about sticky systems and things, and makes it very, very simple, and so that it's just logical. How do they get in touch with you?
So if they want me to speak at their event, then I would direct them to mariannespeaks.co.uk. If they want to learn more, then LinkedIn and YouTube are the places to go.
Right.
I mean, I do have a Marianne Page website, but YouTube,
there's some great videos.
There's a lot of free stuff on YouTube.
Great stuff. Really good.
I love doing videos, so
there's no fluff in them. They're all very, very good.
There's no fluff. No, there's really no fluff. I'm from the northeast.
Fluff free.
Don't do fluff. YouTube. I love YouTube. LinkedIn, obviously, there's quite a bit of stuff on LinkedIn. We do a lot of interacting on LinkedIn, but or just email me. Me at mariannepage.com, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody, really, and also genuinely happy to talk to anybody.
And I can verify that. And it's you that someone would get to speak to.
Yeah.
It would be you. Marianne, we'll put everything in the show notes, but I cannot thank you enough, because, as I say, how you explain things is brilliant, and I think for our industry it's perfect, but I think for every industry it is as well.
It's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Oh no, I loved it, and I will probably go home with my concert accent slightly stronger, which I always like topping up. I hate the thought of losing my accent, so I need a little top up. I always need a regular bit of Susan to keep topped up. So no, it's great. It's always great talking to you. It's like it's just like having a chat in front of the fire.
course. Brilliant. Thanks, Marianne.
Oh, no problem. Thanks a lot.